Hello and welcome to the Cubicle Liberation Podcast. I'm David Hood here, and today I'm with our guest, Marco Benavides. Did I pronounce your name well?
You got it correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well.
Always try to make sure that's important. How you doing, Marco?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. Life is good.
I can't wait to get into the details of your story. I know a little bit about it already, and it's already very interesting. And I think those of you out there looking to be permanently liberated from your cubicle will be interested to hear his story. So first, let's talk about there's a charity that you work with, and I'll put a link in the description. If you're watching this video, or watching this on YouTube or on the website, I'll put a link to his charity. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your charity?
Well, it's a charity that I support, and I've been supporting them for quite a few years. It's called El Niño y la Bola, which means boy with a ball in English.
Okay.
And what it is I mean, poverty. The way that you gauge poverty in the U.S. is so different from how it is in the rest of the world, third world especially, because I see people in food lines in Costa Rica in their cars, and I see them going like right now because of the COVID, people are having problems in the U.S., but they're going to pick up food in their cars. Like here, we're talking about people who don't even have access to like running water, electricity, and like having to choose. Like, imagine having to choose between washing your hands, so you have to buy soap, or eating. Like, that's the poverty that we're talking about. We're not really talking about a choice. They tell you wash your hands, because of this virus thing and proper hygiene. But if you don't have running water, how do you comply? Even if you want to, like, how can you?
Right.
What can you do? So this is what we're talking. We're talking about people who need a water truck up there, so that they can have access to water. That's the kind of poverty that I'm talking about, and it's kids who are especially at risk, right? Because their hero, the person that they look up to, is the drug dealer, is the thief, the guy who gets away with everything. And so what we try to do as a charity is pull them away from that, give them an option. So we provide everything from kindergarten all the way through to tech school and even the university, if they get that far. Now we'll lose 9 out of 10 kids, right, to the streets and the life and drugs and prostitution and anything and everything horrible that you can think of. But we try to focus on the successes, right? We try to focus on getting as many in as possible, so that we can have as many successes as possible. We have, companies like Procter and Gamble, Intel, people who will hire the kids once they're trained and out of school. So we've set up the whole thing. We do tutoring. Now it's the mentoring and tutoring takes place online. And we had Intel donate computers recently, which was just a fantastic thing. But it's basically what we do. We try to provide as much as we can for as many people as possible.
That's great. So if you're looking for a place to donate right now to many people,
this is it.
Here, you can use PayPal or Stripe, it looks like, and click through and go ahead and donate. And this is in Costa Rica, where you're from. You live right now, right?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about not having anything. Right. There's parents today who are not even telling their children that it's Christmas, because they have nothing to give their kids, man. And so they don't want the kids to know it's Christmas. Because how do you tell your kid, Merry Christmas, but I don't have a fucking thing for you?
Yeah. That's pretty hard to. I don't know how I would say that, right?
How do you
break your kid's heart like that? So sounds like a good charity, and go check it out. And again, there'll be the link in there. Also, this is this your core business has to do with Semantic Mastery and this concept surrounding it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the company that we founded to share our knowledge and experience about SEO and marketing.
And you guys have been around a long time. I remember getting some stuff from you 3-4 years ago, some training that did help me rank one of my most important sites. So again, there'll be a link to that, and looks like you can join their email list. It's probably a good idea. especially if you're into SEO and ranking stuff, which I am. So let's get into your story. So,
Sure.
and I remember you were telling me before that you were one of the kids in the place that what's the name of the place again? I can't remember.
Costa Rica.
El Niño y la Bola.
Yeah. One of those kids, meaning that I grew up in abject poverty.
Okay. Let's start there
Right.
then.
Nothing. There was no Niño y la Bola back then. It was just dirt poor. To the point where I mean, mom would give us a glass of warm water and tell us to go lie down on our stomachs so that we feel full.
Dang. Yeah. That's not very cool. You want to tell me any more about your stories when you were really young?
Well, I mean,
how did you get out of it? What did it feel like? And I presume it was all in Costa Rica as well.
Yeah, well, I lived in Costa Rica until I was 9. The year that I turned 10. Okay, so first of all, let me go back. My grandmother, my dad's mom, had already been living in the U.S. She had a green card. She was a resident already, and so my dad made the decision to move to the U.S. because couldn't feed his family in Costa Rica, of course. I'm telling you how it was. I'm glancing over because it gets me kind of emotional thinking back to all that
Sure.
and how it was. But in '73, I was 9. The year I turned 10, we moved to the U.S. My dad got his green card through his mom, and then we were able to get our green card through dad, and ended up in Long Beach, New York, when I was, but again, the year that I turned 10, 1973. So, like most people who do make it to the U.S. this way, we were following the American dream, because in Costa Rica, I mean, there was literally nothing, man. It was really rough. I remember seeing my mom crying because we had no food.
Man, it's with the abundance of food that I have had my entire life, I don't even know what that would look like. So, try to empathize with your situation. So you moved to New York at 10, and you're in Costa Rica now.
Yes.
How long did you live in the United States?
30 plus years.
Oh, okay.
So my school, university, business career, everything was in the U.S. basically.
So let's go to like high school and
Sure.
maybe college and talk about like what were you interested in? What did you do? How'd you spend your time?
I was totally into sports when I was in school. I wrestled. I played soccer. I played football. I played softball. I played baseball. I played every sport that you can imagine. School was really easy, so I was one of those kids who was always getting into trouble because it was just boring. I would get bored in class, and then I'd just look for something to do. Like if teacher told me, you guys can't do this in science with this chemical because it explodes. Oh, interesting.
Now I want to see it explode.
Yeah. It's going to get done. I'm gonna go do it because I'm gonna go find out why. I want to know why. Don't just tell me don't. My mom and dad ran into the same problem. Don't just tell me don't do that, because I'm gonna go. I want to know why. And I've always been this way. Don't tell me no. Why? Right? Explain it. Don't just tell me.
Yeah, it's a curiosity there.
Yeah. So I was in AP classes and all of that. In high school, I went into the Navy when I was 18.
Oh, okay.
Served for about 10 years of active and reserve, inactive reserve. And then I decided I would go to to college. So I started at 28, college.
Yeah. Okay. What'd you go to college for?
Business administration. Well, so check this out. Around 84, I started playing with computers. My buddy got a Christmas present. It was an IBM, right? It was a $5,000 machine, and it was this magical thing that you could do stuff. And I remember the how excited I was when I got a ball to bounce across the right. Wrote the program and everything,
Yeah.
and I got the ball to bounce. And I was, oh man.
In
And
assembly? Do you use assembly?
I can't even remember, man. It was,
Sorry, go ahead. You got the ball to bounce, and that was
got
amazing.
got the ball to bounce. It was amazing. Then I went to school. I actually got a degree in computer programming.
Oh, okay.
COBOL, BASIC, Pascal, you name the legacy programs. I learned to code, and then I decided, well, I'm going to be a literature professor. Of all things, I was going to go into lit, and because to me, the college thing seemed just so grand, so cool. I'm going to be a college professor. I'm going to have tenure. They can't fire me, and I'm just going to have fun. Until I saw my teachers, my college professor's check, my literature teacher. I actually saw his check in his office when I said, "Oh no, that's not what I want." No.
So wait, let me get this straight. When you went to college, you went there with the intention of business administration, but then you started
I
getting
went with the intention of computer programming. The first 2
okay.
years, I knocked out a degree in computers, right?
So you did get a degree in computer science.
Computer programming, yes, computer science. All right.
Yeah.
Then I said, wait a minute. Because I saw the life that my teacher, my mentor, was living, and I said, but man, I want that. We have this little cool car and this cool thing, and he always had a girl on his arm, pretty girl, and I said, I want that, man. That seems really cool. And so for the next year and a half or so, that's what I focused on, literature. Late 19th, early 20th century American literature. As a matter of fact, that was going to be my thesis. Until, as I said, I had the life turning moment, that check on that guy's desk. Oh no, man, hell no. So I switched again, switched majors to business administration. I think I have enough credits even to get a literature degree. But anyway, I switched it. I got my master's in business administration, and then I ran a company in the Los Angeles area, like right out of school. Got hired, went working for them. Everything was cool. Company's growing, life is good, and then the company gets sold out. Yeah. So dude, and this is something that we always have to look at. The company wasn't mine. Now the owners, father and son, were letting me run it like it was mine, and so like in my head it was mine because I could do whatever I want with the company. They never said anything. They would just come in. We would meet, board meeting, and everything's happy. Everything's go. So I never even knew that they were going to sell the company.
They were just cashing the checks.
They were happy. I was happy, kinda, because I was working these 12, 14-hour days, weekends, holidays, vacation. They'd call me, Marco, this is happening, and I'd fly back. So it was ridiculously busy. I had no time to get married, had no time to think about anything except this business, which wasn't mine. So now looking back, it was very foolish to focus everything on somebody else's business.
This new people came in, did they fire you or did they change everything?
No. So here's the deal. They come in, I have a contract now. So they can't just move me out, right? But what they ended up doing is I ended up in just a big building, huge floor, cubicles, and it put me in a cubicle.
A cubicle.
Had no decision making, like no, just middle manager. You go sit there and be good for the next 20 years or so, 25. So we're talking 2003 now. So 17 years ago, almost 18 now. I'm in a cubicle. And I'm looking at my life. So I'm 40, man. I was 40, and I was looking at the next 25 years of my life, spending the next 20 in that cubicle. That's what they were expecting me to do.
It's so funny that you should say that. And I want to point something out that 25 years of life, but Fletch has been able to join us. So let's go ahead and welcome Fletch. Sorry, he had something he had to take care of beforehand. So we just got started. Fletch, how you doing?
I am good. Sorry about that hold up. Kids are sometimes throwing curveballs. So I got to get in on the last piece you were talking about, the change in management or ownership that came with.
I'll give you a quick recap, Fletch, and you can maybe look in the notes in Evernote and see if you could pop that out for Marco, and maybe you could read that. But basically, we're talking about just right after his college. He was in the Navy for 10 years. He went to college at 28. Eventually got an MBA. He has computer science and literature. Divergent, I guess. But now he's talking about kind of, it sounds like his first job
together. Yeah.
Out of right. You're not allowed to be a complex human being, Marco.
Right.
And so what he was just talking about was, it was kind of this is your first job after you got your MBA, job, but you were kind of almost like a business owner, and the other company, the owners just let you run it, and then they ended up selling it because you did such a good job, apparently, that it made the business valuable.
The business was so valuable that the one of the big players in the game, right, just came and said, scooped it up. Like, I didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah, all of this shit can happen, but it's like, we're doing so well. Why in the fuck would you even want to do that? It's like, as they were godfathered, right? They were made an offer they couldn't.
They wanted the cash now. That's why they looked at it, and it's like, it makes X amount of dollars per year, and we can get 10X right now and go live on an island. Then that's what they did, probably.
Yeah, probably. I don't know, because I haven't spoken to them since that day.
I want to point out the thought that you had is almost identical to a thought that I had when I was in a cubicle working for the man, and it's just, I kind of projected ahead 20 years, and I was like, man, this is not how I want to spend my time for the next 20 years. It wasn't like a bad job. I wasn't in a coal mine or anything, but just looking forward, and projecting forward and trying to look back and see if that's a path that you'd be happy on, instead of just taking more steps on that path. I think is pretty useful for making these kinds of decisions.
So the interesting thing is, I'm there, right? And I'm looking at the next 25 years until I retire, right? I have a rollover contract now. So the contract, it was really cool. It was all in my favor, as a matter of fact. And all I had to do was say, I want another year and I could have gone that way until whenever, but I'm sitting there in that cubicle feeling useless, because I see them all going to the board meetings, and I see everything that's happening, and I'm hearing it, and I'm getting emails, and I'm seeing all the memos, and all of this is going on, and I'm not part of it, because again, it's not my business. And that's how they feel. It's none of your business now. This is you. Sit there, be good. So I'm getting my salary still. I'm getting a really nice check, but it's just, like, if I were just focused on money, like, it would have been really good. But that wasn't my focus. That wasn't my thing. I need, as I was telling you, like, through high school, I need my mind to be occupied with something, or I get into trouble looking for other stuff to do. So it's not a good thing for an idle mind, right? Especially
idle hands
for me.
Or the devil's work, is that the saying?
I think that's the saying, but an idle mind, for me anyway, is ridiculously dangerous, because I just look for shit to do.
Yeah.
So we're at 2003, and I literally walked into the now CEO's office, and like, the secretary's trying to keep me out. The guy's, hey, you can't walk in here. I'm like, fuck you, man. You can't tell me what the fuck. This is how it's going to be. This is what you're going to pay me. And I want my profit sharing. And I'm gone. And he's like, seriously? Yes. Kill the contract. I'll sign. Get legal. Get them. Just give me whatever the fuck you want me to sign. Put the money in the bank, and I'm done. He's like, cool. I'm rid of this guy. Great. So this is how I end up in 2003 with a lot of money and nothing to do. So here I am. I decide, well, man, moved to the U.S. when I was 9. Now I want to go back to Costa Rica. It was always like a dream. It's more my parents' dream, I guess, but to always go back. And so I decided, this is what I'm going to do. So I came back to Costa Rica. sold everything off and came back to Costa Rica. And I decided that I was going to work out because I told you in high school I was always into sports. And I actually got really good at bench pressing. It's what I focused my mind, my energy, everything on. And I got to the point where like in competition, I hit 425 at 195 body weight. I'm at 205 right now and out of shape totally. But when I'm in shape, I'm pretty good. Right?
Like 2.5x body weight. That's stout.
Yeah, 425. Now in the gym, I've done 435. I couldn't do it in competition ever again. But yeah, and so it's just, to me, it's one of those things where you need to focus on whatever it is that you do to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. If there's no focus, if there's no drive, if you're just all scattered, then you can't accomplish whatever it is that you're going to set out to do. So
I agree.
I decided I was going to do that, and so I got huge, and really strong, and money.
Any
and
pictures of you from then?
Yeah, somewhere. I
Send
was
them
just
to me
looking
in
at
the
one.
podcast. I'll put them in the description and stuff.
One with my wife, where I'm like almost 2.5 times her size, just big, massive flesh. So I'll take a picture of the picture as a matter. Or I have it somewhere.
However you want to send it to me.
And
I'm sure they'd be interested in seeing it.
Big Marco. And so, but that wasn't enough, because that's body, right? It's not really mind. It's not really mind. So then we go along a little bit more, and I'm at a party. This is now my SEO career. We're at a party, and we're talking, and I'm saying, yeah, I have a degree in computer programming. I never brag about stuff unless it's like one of the things I feel really good about, weightlifting. And somebody at the party said, hey man, didn't you say you have a degree in computer programming? Yeah. So I have an online directory. Can you help me get more traffic? Sure. Dude, I didn't know what SEO stood for. I didn't know what SEO meant. I didn't link text and anchor text and hyperlinks and well, I know code, and I just automatically said yes. So I say yes to him at the party, and I spend the next 6 months learning everything good and bad, wrong and right, that there is to know about SEO. Because I have nothing to do, but I have the money to do it. So I get a really nice computer, everything I need, best internet that I could get into the house at that time. And I get hyper focused on learning what to do. And we actually got that to it was almost 2 million visitors a month.
Wow.
At the height. This is when you could just max out like a PR7, PR8 with a bunch of
2005 or something?
spammy links. 2004 actually.
2004.
Well, you can still get high PR with a bunch of spammy links. You just have to know what you're doing.
It wasn't really till Panda Penguin that they could really stop a lot of the spam, it seemed like.
And so somebody does more links than you. Well, you go do more than they do. And
yeah.
That's the name of the game. But it was really sweet building up those PR7s when you could see it on the bar that is a PR7, and then linking from it, and stuff is just blowing up. Stuff is just out of this world. That was the beginning of my SEO career until now, and I'm still thriving, man. Despite everything, all the roadblocks that Google tries to throw you away. I mean, here we are.
So you started.
Here I am.
Yeah, here you are. So you've been doing SEO ever since.
Ever since I got hooked, and like my and I'll give credit to CT Fletcher. I love CT Fletcher. He's a former power builder, champion power builder, record setting.
His YouTube stuff.
Oh, I love him. I love him.
They did a documentary about him too, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. So he talks about his magnificent obsession. And again, it's that tunnel vision, that hyper focus. It's something that you want so bad that you eat, drink, sleep, and dream it. And there's nothing else that gets in the way of you achieving your magnificent obsession. And SEO, and especially fucking with Google, is my magnificent obsession, is what I live for. It's my passion. It's not the money, right? The money's good,
Yeah.
but it's actually being able to gain Google because of all the bullshit that they try to feed us. Because it's like, oh, do no evil, and all this other shit that they throw at you,
Oh, their press release stuff.
and
Yeah.
follow our terms of service, and don't do this and don't do that. And yet you see them and everything that they do, and they don't follow their shit. Why should I?
Google doesn't own
That's
the
how I
internet.
see it. What's that?
Google does not own the internet.
No, absolutely not.
They borrow it.
I like I like what you, I want to hear what your thoughts on this, Fletch, as well, but I like what you said about you kind of, what I would say, narrowing your focus. I try to talk about how a lot, like the, you know, that you have those, you take a magnifying glass and it burns, you can burn a piece of paper because it's focusing its energy. And you only have so many brain cycles. You only have so many things you can do in your life. And if you just do a bunch of random things, then it's not going to, you know, you're not going to really accomplish much. And I think a really good analogy for this is a lot of people are building houses at 20%, 50% or whatever in many different places, but they never actually complete a house. And so they never have a place to live, i.e. a business to run, a successful career, as opposed to somebody who builds a really great house, one really awesome house that works really, really well for them. That's actually going to be more valuable than a dozen half-built houses in general, at least from an effective in that moment standpoint. What do you think about that, Fletch?
Yeah, that's really big. And I look back at my life, which I've done a lot of different things, but the things that worked well were when I was completely immersed in something, you know, for long enough to hit pay dirt, right? I built and sold my piece of a couple different software companies, and that was kind of like, oh, okay. I don't write any code, but I kind of was more on the user side. But like SEO is the thing I've been involved with longest. You know, it's been 7 years now, I guess, since I got started. And, you know, it's like, okay, I understand this, but like, there's so many more levels to go, like implementation of it, figuring out more about the client side of things. I'm really getting into copywriting, like SEO copywriting is kind of like the thing I've been focusing on this last year. So there's seemingly endless levels to kind of the marketing side of getting traffic. And I like what Marco was saying about, you know, kind of screwing with the big dog, and, you know, reading between the lines sometimes on some of the tweets they put out and all that different type of thing. But you know, I had no idea what search engine optimization was when I got into it either. It was just like, oh, I needed somebody to tell me what to do so I could get some results. And then once I started getting some results, I start kind of putting my own recipes and trying to understand actually what is true about what I'm doing. And that wouldn't have happened had I not, you know, had enough money coming in where I could really put all of my focus into, you know, truly understanding what was going on and what they were trying to do with ranks and traffic. And then I start seeing more writing on the wall with them taking, you know, snippets out of your content, putting it on their website. And I've always kind of treated AMP like that. It's like, it's, you know, they aren't even really on your site. They're just on your content. And it's like, okay, well, I'm, you know, forget about you guys, and feeling like, I remember the first link I built, I swear I thought somebody was going to come and knock on the door from Google and be like, ha, we caught you.
The Google
caught
police,
you, sucker. Oh my God. Seriously, I was that nervous, but, you know, it great stuff. That focus thing is refreshing to hear, right? Because I think a lot of people are in that boat where they've dabbled and they kind of understand some things, but they're like, oh, this is really not working. And it's usually that they haven't really put that hyper focus into it and gotten to the place where they're getting some traction and things are working. Because once you get to that place, you're actually able to achieve things, accomplish things, that then there's a positive feedback loop as opposed to a negative one.
So let's continue your story. So it's 2004. You have a success case with SEO.
Yeah.
What next? What happens then?
what happens then is that this guy that I'm helping with the directory goes and brags about the kind of traffic that is getting with this guy that he met at a party. And then one of the big language schools in Costa Rica, the owner hears him and gets my contact, right? How do I get in touch with this guy? Well, gives him my email. I get a phone call from this guy. Hey, you know, I'm from such and such school here in Costa Rica. Can you help me? Sure. Why not? I'm what is it? 4 or 5 months into the game. We're getting massive traffic into this, and it's not mine, mind you. Here I go again. It's not mine. And so this school, oh, okay, yeah, I can help you. So he knows the owner of one of the big private hospitals in Costa Rica. They have a conversation. Well, what are you doing with the school? How are you being successful? Well, I hired this guy. And so now word of mouth is the most fantastic advertising. Like, I've never really actively sought out clients. I've never gone out. I've never had to. I've been really fortunate or really good, however it is that you want to look at it, that I get people coming to me. I mean, from that to even Fortune 500 companies that come to me for whatever it is, for consultation or to work on their website. And I'm to the point right now where we call it the POFU mindset, which is I set my own terms. But going back,
what was that? You call it what?
The POFU mindset.
POFU mindset. Okay.
POFU, position of fuck you.
Fuck you. Got it.
Right? Meaning that if I don't like what you have to offer me, then fuck you. I don't need to work with you.
Right?
And
Great.
It comes from a quote in the movie The Gambler, John Goodman. He actually says position of fuck you. So we took
sounds like something he would say.
I took that and like I developed a whole mindset series from it where this is where I want to be. What this guy is talking about, that POFU, the POFU, that mindset. I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy who's able to say to the no matter how much money they're offering me, if the conditions aren't right, no, thank you. I don't need you. You need me. So it's again how you change that focus, right? From out in to in out. How you change that relationship between you and how you see people and how you deal with people in a business setting, right?
I think this is also
totally from that mindset.
I think this also makes you more valuable if you're willing to do this, because especially for something like SEO, the customer should not be setting the terms. They don't know enough to set the terms. They don't know enough about SEO. So you should set the terms. If you're letting them set the terms, then it's like you don't know what you're doing to some degree. Now, there's some wiggle room here, but in general, you know, if you don't want to work with somebody, that's a great place to be, to just be able to be like, no.
Think about you going and needing surgery and then telling the surgeon how to conduct the operation, right? Who he needs for the operation, what they should be doing for who in what other industry is this allowed, or is this accepted practice? It shouldn't be in our industry. Why do I don't understand why people allow it. And I mean, in a way I can't, because when you start out, you deal with whatever you have to make the money that you want, until you get to a certain point where you say, no, this isn't happening, and it's not happening like this. So yeah, I mean, 2004, and it just kept rolling from there. But again, I would have clients walk out of it, no matter how good the results were. Like, they started getting offers. Well, I'm being offered $500 a month. Why should I pay you $5,000? Why should I pay you $10,000? Well, fine, go get results for $500. 3 months later, their business is ruined. They come back to you, and well, the price is double now. And in fact, I don't even want to work with you. So no, thank you. Or I'll just go up. I know exactly who the competitors in the space are. I'll go to the guy that the guy I used to work for hates the most, and offer him the services.
Remind me not to say no to Marco in the future. So it snowballed from there. You just kind of like with each one you got, and this is a lot of this in Costa Rica, business in Costa Rica, or is this in the US or both?
No, I've always had clients from all over the world, literally. I mean, I've done stuff in languages I don't even know. Google Translate is fantastic, and it's even easier because the bot doesn't work the same. I say the bot, but the algorithms work differently in different niches and languages. Maybe it's the fact that Google doesn't pay much attention to certain languages or certain niches in certain languages, whatever it is.
There's certain paths that they go on. And so sometimes they just go on a different path. And then with different languages, sometimes the meaning of the words is different. And so they have to evaluate it from a different perspective. And so like it's some things in like some languages just don't translate into English.
Right.
And so that's kind of part of what they have to navigate. So you had clients. So basically your business at this point is doing SEO for clients. Were you just doing SEO? Were you doing anything else? Were you doing web design?
I've done everything from like I said, legacy coding, where I've traveled. Like the last place that I went to was Dubai to work on in a computer system that needed to go from one language to another. And doing that whole thing. What was
it? If you were to like
4 years ago was the last time that I traveled out to do that.
But let's look at like for the rest of that decade, your revenue percentage wise, was it heavily clients, or did you have your own websites?
No. It was clients. If you look at my website, the website with my name is garbage. I've never taken the time out to develop my brand. I've never had to. I've never tried to get my name out. I've always had people who hear about me and who reach out to me. And what the great thing about this, what happened to me is they already know. Like when they come to me, they already know what it's going to cost because they had the talk with their buddy.
Right.
So how much is he charging you? Well, he gets this much. So they know that's the starting point when they come to me. It's just how it worked out for me it's just been fantastic. I've been blessed. I mean, I can't call it anything else. I feel very blessed. I feel very fortunate.
Do you have any projects that were wholly your own where you were doing SEO for yourself?
Not until right before Semantic Mastery.
Which is when did you guys start Semantic Mastery?
I'm going to say 2012, 2013, 2012. So around there is where we started meeting more as Semantic Mastery. Okay. And where the business idea began. Okay. But before then, no, it was never. And again, it didn't click. Not having my own business and helping people develop their own businesses has always been, or was up until that point, my mistake. And it is a mistake. If you focus solely on developing other people's business and making them money, they can always walk away. And then you lose that income stream, that revenue stream. It dries up. And so you have to go and look for more or wait for more people to come find you.
Yeah. So basically, up until 2012, 2013, the vast majority of your business was doing SEO for clients.
For clients.
That's accurate.
For clients. I did run some, so I did some AdSense. AdSense. I was doing really well, between 20 and 30K a month, just in AdSense. And then Google killed my account. This is one of the reasons why I hate Google so much. Google killed me. One day it suspended and like they owed me my check. And this money's coming in, it's good, and it's going out. You know how that goes. And you kind of rely on that. I don't want to go into my savings. I don't want to. By that time, I had 2 kids. I got married, 2 kids. And wait a minute, I'm counting on this money because I'm building college trusts and I'm setting up my retirement. I'm setting up all these things, and all of a sudden it just dries up, and I want to know why, and nobody's giving me answers.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling me, so I had to fight them for over a year. Now I never got my account back, but they did give me that last check that I had coming. They did give me that. but I mean, they killed my account. And so again, another realization, I was making Google money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was making money off of Google, but it was never really mine.
You couldn't monetize these websites any other way that you were doing that?
Yeah, I could have, but I didn't want to put the effort.
It's a lot more effort.
So
Yeah. Traffic is not everything. There's plenty of websites that I have seen where they have tons of traffic and they don't make much money, and I have several websites that get very little traffic but make a crap load of money.
Yeah.
So it's just all about all the different factors that go into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So you guys have been, tell me more about, since you guys have been doing Semantic Mastery, has it been just mostly like you have the client and then you have the Semantic Mastery? Is there another part of your business that you'd like to talk about?
Hey, Marco, could I also interject the name Semantic Mastery? Was that something thought out? Like,
It
where
was
did that come from?
absolutely thought out. It was absolutely thought out.
Could you delve into that a little bit for our listeners? Yeah.
2011, Google comes out and says things, not strings. And I hear a TED talk. Oh, man, now his name just slipped from my head. But yeah, the inventor of the web, Berners-Lee, a TED talk, and he starts talking about the semantic web of things, and he starts talking about these relationships, these entity relationships, and I'm like, just totally, holy shit, oh, yeah, of course. And to me, since I'm from a coding background, it's code, it's binary code. It can only be binary code, no matter what they call it, no matter what they say, entities and all of these different things, and AI and whatever, it all ends up in binary code. And in my mind, it clicked. And so I'm interestingly enough, in another mastermind, I met my current partners, and we kind of complement each other. I mean, Bradley does a lot of local SEO. My partner Bradley, my partner Hernan focuses on Facebook ads and other ad platforms. Adam is the funnels guy, and he's the guy who sets that up. Chris is the email guy, and he sets up all that automation, which leaves me free to just go. They call me the mad scientist because I'll just go off on a tangent, like the one where we ended up with RYS Academy. Right? Rank Your Shit Academy. But it's all from that. It's from trying to understand the semantic web of things and how Sir Tim Berners-Lee explained it, and how he explained these relationships, and then going, of course, and reading the Google patents, I have a whole team, the computer science team in the university, right? Yeah, that's him.
That's him. Okay.
The next web. Yes.
I'll put a link to it for you guys. If for those of you just listening, I'm showing sort of the guy. His name is Tim Berners-Lee.
Yeah.
And he's got a TED talk if you want to search for it. So I'll try to find a good link for that. Please continue. Fletch, actually, do you have any more questions about that? Because I think you've studied the semantic stuff a lot too, right?
Yeah. And frankly, it may have come from an email I got from you guys, and I was like, I have a pretty decent vocabulary, but I want to understand what semantic means. And so I went and looked, and I was like, yeah, they're trying to understand meaning, but it's all going back to how are you representing meaning, and going back to code. And then it was like, oh, okay, well now, we can, that's why all the spin tax and stuff kind of worked when it worked, and all that kind of thing. It was kind of an aha moment for myself as well, that I did a talk in 2013 or 14, I think, on semantics, and I think the example I used was something about like, it was something that someone could have been looking for a song's name. They could have been looking for an artist. They could have been looking for whatever. And Google has to extrapolate and understand what's the search intent about. Now, how are we going to match that up? And that was kind of the thread I started pulling until I had a whole bunch of thread and the sweater was completely gone, and now I can kind of start to weave it back together. But yeah, that specific word and term, it was something that I was like, I need to follow this and see where it goes. So I love the name, and that's one of the reasons I asked the question. Was it's like that, if there was thought put into that, then well done. Like it definitely means what it means, right? Semantics really is about the meaning of things. So yeah.
Absolutely. But the aha moment then for me, I'm glad you mentioned that, was the realization that Google can only represent words in its database as binary code. No matter what it is, it breaks it down to that, because you're in a server and you have code. The code has to be represented, and it's binary. No matter how you do it, no matter what language you then use for that, it's still code. So when you realize that it's a number in that server that represents that word, and it's the relationships with other numbers to that word, when the magic can really happen, when you can really go in there and do basically whatever you want. And it's things that they tell you that you can't do because they don't want you doing them. They tell you, John Mueller will tell you, no, you cannot optimize for artificial intelligence because it's artificial intelligence. But you're full of shit. What's schema? If it wasn't so, why in the world would you develop an entire website focused on schema, which is, again, code? So if you can't optimize for the AI, why are you telling us to write schema and then telling us, well, you can't really do that? And yet we see it time and again that you use the right schema, you use the right code to represent the entities that Google is looking for. And again, the magic just happens. Google the bot goes crazy because it's understanding not only the relationships that it has in its database, but it accepts now what you feed it, right? I'm very fond of saying that you show me a bot that's coded to learn, I'm going to show you a bot that I can teach whatever I want.
You kind of win either way. If they don't do an AI, then it's easy to game. If you do an AI, there's still always going to be a path to optimize.
It's trying to learn.
It's such a ridiculous statement to say you can't optimize for this. Of course you can. No matter what it is, you're going to be able to optimize for it.
So imagine this, right? We have a data set in the server. Data set simply means what Google considers that entity to be, and every relationship to that entity is within that space. Imagine it all in a ball, right? In this space, where whatever it is in the server, wherever it is that it lives. And our job is to expand that. It's actually a knowledge graph, is to expand it so that Google accepts entities that don't usually belong in that data set as proper entities for that niche. Now, maybe I'm going too far.
I like this. I could geek out on this all day long.
All right, so
a lot of my audience is SEO, or my personal audience.
Right. So because the distance graph measures the hops from trust and authority. And all trust and authority means is the entity that Google considers the best entity for that niche. And your job is to either get as close as possible to that or to become that. And when you realize just how much you can expand that entity, meaning that you can add your data set along with the existing data set so that it all becomes part of that entity, right? Mm-hmm. This is how we can go after shit like Amazon. Now, not the word Amazon, but niches in Amazon and win. And we do it all the time. Well, how? Well, we expand the data set. And then so we become, when Google goes and measures the niche, the one that's going to fit best is the one that you're feeding the bot. Because you're
compared
telling the
to
bot,
what? You become the thing it's like compared to what? You become the thing they're comparing.
They're comparing
like
to
the standard. Like this is the
exactly
one that has to be compared to. Yeah.
In that relational database, because that's all it is. It's creating relationships and then relating it according to all of the different algorithms, but especially the distance graph.
So if you want to know more about that, go to semanticmastery.com and get on their email list. That's what I would recommend for you, because this is important stuff. This is also not something that's temporary. I think this is not something that Google's going to abandon in a couple of years. I think this is I like how you said things, not strings. If you think about what does that mean, strings are characters, like you mentioned, a bunch of words is a string. Like a string in a computer programming is text. So I think what they're saying is that we're trying to look at the world almost more as it is than as like this kind of surface interface of just words.
Right.
And the more that you can feed them this, that's not going to not work a couple of years from now. So I think this is important for you to understand. Should you choose to make SEO the focus of your business, as I have.
Before we went live, we were talking about links, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was before. As long as links are relevant, and they will be relevant. So again, we have a server somewhere in Germany, a Google server, and it needs to get to another server somewhere in Germany. Google cannot teleport. It's not happening yet. It will happen in quantum. If you guys are following quantum, and if you're not, you should. As an SEO, you should always stay ahead. So until Google can teleport to that server, it has to find a path. That path is links. I can't believe that people today, SEO, so-called professionals, experts, gurus, whatever, are telling you that links are becoming less and less important. You don't understand that servers are connected with links. HTML hyperlinks, as a matter of fact, everything is based on that. The nodes, the interconnection for nodes on the web is links. Understand that. Don't ever let Google get you away from that. That's the game. Their game is for you to believe that it's taking place somewhere else other than what happens on that link from server to server, or that connection of links that leads from one node, meaning one place on the web, to another node.
That's great. Also, my thing on links is, I think I was using web crawler back in the late 90s. And then I think that the reason why Google's search results were so much better than everyone else's is because they were looking at links and no one else was. They came along and they said, we can provide higher quality search results. And this is still a core part of their algorithm today. I think the way in which they evaluate the links has changed and can change.
Yes, it has.
But they've stated, correct me if I'm wrong, they've stated publicly that they have tried algorithms without links and it just is shit. And it doesn't work. And so I don't see, been doing this 20 years. I don't think that they're going to suddenly just not use links.
I mean, if anybody's interested, go read the distance graph algorithm. I have links for it somewhere. Go read not only the original, but the updated version of it, just to show how important. This is the one where Google incorporated the PageRank algorithm into the distance graph because Google let go of, they didn't renew the PageRank algorithm. That doesn't mean it's gone. And they just incorporated it into the distance graph. And so that Google is now building a ranking score for sites. It's not just PageRank, it's a ranking score where all of these things are taken into account and weighted to see which entity is the best for the given niche and for the given query, right? But that distance graph, how Google follows and measures hops from trust and authority, is what really matters. The distance graph algorithms.
Distance, is it Google? Is it like a white paper that Google made?
It's the actual patent.
Yeah, there's a patent for that.
I have it somewhere, man. I'll drop it in chat if I can find it. But
I think I found it.
It's so important. It's foundational, man.
And it kind of goes. Correct me. In concept, it seems like it goes hand in hand with like the passages update with their patent there, which is talking about proximity and the proximity of words and things and concepts to another, and it's based on proximity, really. And it's kind of the same concept applied to your on-page content that's readable to a human, as well as why schema tends to do some really nifty things because it's all right there in a block and they already gave you the labels of what they're putting in their database and things like that.
So Google measures hops.
Yep.
This seems to be relevant also to like Google Maps ranking as well.
Yes.
the distance, the kind of like the digital distance.
Well, because you think about what Google is, it's convenience, right? I can go to one website and I can get the answers. And so they're applying that same concept to how they're, they want to have a convenient way of understanding, like to understand the meaning of something, you have to look in the context a little bit. And so those are links. Those are, okay, what's pointing at this and what is that page saying? And what is the anchor essentially telling us about the thing on the other end of that? And I've always looked at kind of anchor as like it anchors the meaning of the page it lives on. And so that page becomes more about this thing. And I'm saying over there, like, that's good stuff. And I found good links to be better now than they have ever been, right? Getting that kind of relevance put together so that the meaning is more established in that knowledge graph and the database that lives behind it and things like that.
Man, this is awesome. I feel like we could geek out on SEO for a long time. And maybe we'll have a separate piece of content, or I'm sure that there's a ton of it on Semantic Mastery. And I know Fletch has his own content on stuff like this as well, and I do as well. So there's all sorts of places you can go for that. Is there anything else that you want to tell us in terms of your story? Like right now, where you're at, you're in Costa Rica.
I'm in Costa Rica.
Do you feel like you'll ever need a day job ever again?
Oh no, I refuse to work for anybody else. I own what I do now.
You own your time. You own your work. You own your brain.
It's mine. I the way that I explain it is, now I do what I want when I want. Now within that want, there are things that I have to do, but I have to do them because it's what I want to do.
I get it.
It's not because I have to, because I'm forced to, because I have someone standing over me telling me, this is what you're going to do today, or you don't make any money, or you're fired. Tofu, right? And that's what you tell me. Fuck you.
Fuck you. I agree with that. That's awesome. And so going forward for your business, you see continuing with Semantic Mastery and client SEO as being the kind of the core of your business, or is there any kind of new directions that you're thinking?
No. All right. So we formed Semantic Mastery, and Semantic Mastery has allowed me to go and explore and look and think what the thing that I really enjoy doing, breaking down these patents and I have a math team at the local university who they'll do the math for me, right? The computer science department. I got them, and they'll do and we'll figure out what Google is trying to do, where it's going. People say it's impossible to do that. You can't know what the gods at Mountain View are doing. All of the math is there. Why can't you? I'm not good enough at math to figure it all out. Not by a long shot, but that's why I have people in the university, the professors and the people who are majoring in computer science to figure it out. And so from that, and from kind of getting known as the guy who went in the belly of the beast and manipulates Google on a daily basis from within Google, I mean, now most of my business is consultation. People reach out to me I've worked with their SEO departments. I've worked with CEOs. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies, and I have people constantly reaching out to me and asking me my advice, and which to me is an incredible thing that people want to know what I know.
Truly, living the dream. You defined how your life wanted to be, and you went out and you did it. And even if it didn't turn out maybe exactly as you intended, it probably turned out better than you intended 15, 20 years ago. That's what I would envision my life right now in a lot of ways.
When I left that cubicle, like I had no idea, but it was kind of nebulous. Mm-hmm. But looking back now, it's totally different from. I've got 3 kids. I've got my wife. I've got nice house. The car's in the garage. The car to me, like it's not a luxury item. It gets us from A to B. What I want people to understand, the car doesn't make you, it doesn't make me. And so I don't need a Mercedes-Benz parked there to show people who I am. I am who I am regardless. and I don't need $1 million home to show people who I am, because I am who I am again, regardless. Money doesn't make me. I love making money. Don't get me wrong. I give a lot of it away. That's all right. So let me say this: C.T. Fletcher, Magnificent Obsession. I've made messing with Google and making money my magnificent obsession. My passion is my the charity, right? Now, here's the interesting thing, because people will tell you, go for your passion, develop that. It's your passion. If I were to focus on my passion, my family would starve, because my passion costs me money.
Right.
It's my magnificent obsession that helps me live and enjoy my passion.
That goes back to what you said, Marco, and I want to draw attention to it just because it was said so well, and I think a lot of people kind of miss it, or like, I just want, like you said, there are things I have to do because I want these things, and until you can develop that connection, like, I have to do this because I want this, right? You want to take care of your family, so this has to be the thing that you're focused on and immersed in for those things to happen that you really want. It's very different when that comes from your understanding of what you have to do versus someone telling you that you have to do some random thing, like in the movie Office Space, TPS reports and all these kind. It's like, what is this good for? Right. It's like, well, it just keeps me paid. Right. It's like, well, maybe we can switch that out with something different, because what I really want is this freedom and this life that I can, be proud of and hold up as, maybe a model to some other people that are aspiring toward the same thing. But I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, the dream is just to not have to do anything. And I think that would be miserable. Like, it's like, if you don't know, you're rudderless. Right. And I've lived parts of my life that way. And so it wasn't necessarily miserable, but the times when I could really invest in like a thing that I really wanted, and I had to do it because I really wanted it, completely different feeling. So, getting out of a day job, you're going to have to develop that yourself more. And, some of the discipline, I guess, or really just understanding that, hey, I want this, so I have to do this. Right. That's I would title this whole thing, something along those lines, just because it for people stepping out of a job where there's structure imposed on you, that structure is still going to have to be there when you're your own boss, so to speak, or you have the freedom to choose a lot of different paths. You have to choose one and still walk it.
Well, structure is even more important. I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you don't have structure when you're trying to work online, all you're going to do is spin your wheels.
Yeah.
You're going to do a whole lot of things, but you're never going to get anything accomplished, simply because the focus isn't there. You'll just go a million different ways. Whereas if you set that structure, if you set your time right, you're going to be way more productive, and you're going to get way more things accomplished than you otherwise would. Having freedom and doing what you want doesn't mean that you don't structure, that you don't set goals, and that you don't break down those goals so that you achieve them in mini goals. So you got to give your mind successes, right? Because the mind is really interesting. If we focus on failure and the failures that we have, then it's going to go into that negativity, and it's going to feed itself negativity. And it's really hard to break out of that, man. That cycle, that negative cycle, it's really hard, because your mind gets used to it. Well, I failed anyway. And then the next time, it's going to be really easy to give up, even before you could have the success, because you're teaching yourself failure. Now, if instead you focus on your failure as a stepping stone to success, okay, I did that, but that didn't work. Let me try it another way. And let me try it another way. Thomas Edison, what he said, he failed 1,000 times. No, he figured out 1,000 ways how not to create the light bulb,
how not to create the light bulb.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So people know he got there.
He had to try thousands of different materials to
Yeah.
get that exact response. Everything else would just burn up or do nothing.
Yeah.
So, in the end, we remember his name. So sticking to it, staying focused on it. Anything. This doesn't mean that you have to work. I work harder than I ever did for my day job. Don't tell my old bosses. But it's not really. I kind of consider it play work in a lot of ways because a lot of it is enjoyable. Not every moment, but I have full autonomy. I have full choice over what I do.
Exactly.
No one can tell me this is how you should do your job. Because if they do, I can just tell them to go away. If they're a client, I fired clients before. You know, and
Yep.
that's good. That's a great position to be in. So I'm really
I
happy.
also learn a lot from that perspective on like people want what they want. And so I listen to all of it. There's a lot of times I even kind of go along with some of it just to maybe they do have a great way of doing whatever, but having the ability to say, no, that's we do things this way. And this is all we do. When I was kind of developing how like the agency and services that we run work, I kind of played into a lot of the different clients and until I started realizing, well, you guys don't have any idea what you really, you know what the result is, but as far as how we get there, like that needs to be what I'm the expert at.
Mm-hmm.
And the positioning of that came from some of the stuff that I did that didn't work. It's like I found some ways that don't work for building an agency because I said, well, I don't have a better option right now, so let's just go with what you want. And you know, and it worked well enough to get me to a place where I'm like, no, this is how it needs to be, because I'm the person who understands this, and this is the only way that we can do this and get the results you want. So it kind of goes then back to, if you want the result, this is how it's going to be done.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I think we've gotten a good long conversation about Marco, and Marco, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I want to remind a couple people, if you want to donate to help out some kids, I'll put a link in there. Go to this link and click on one of these and donate. If you want to learn more about SEO from Marco, I'm sorry, go ahead. We're gonna say something. Marco?
Let me add this to the charity donations. Save proof of the donation, and then let me give you an email address.
Okay.
Send proof of the donation so that you can get an invitation to my charity webinar series this year, or it'll start beginning of 2021. We're focusing on entities totally. I'm having Dixon Jones from InLinks coming in to talk about entities. I'm having people come in and really tell people why it is that we get the results that we do and how they can get results well into 2021, 22, you name it.
So is there a minimum donation for that?
No, man. Look, the way that I tell people is your heart is going to tell you whether you donate.
Okay.
And your wallet is going to dictate how much. I don't want you putting yourself out. Right?
Sure. So like I've just donated, and I would take this receipt that I get in Facebook and email, and I'm gonna
send
forward
it to that email so you get an invitation to the webinar series.
You can send me. Did you put it in chat?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll put that email in the description. It is, well, I'm not. I can't really read it very well.
encontralogratis@gmail.com.
encontralogratis@gmail.com. Invitation to webinar. There we go. So do that. Might as well help a good cause. But you can also learn more. At least get on their email list and check it out. And they have products that are good. So go ahead and check that out as well. And any last questions for Marco Fletch?
No, this has been great. I really appreciate you sharing so much, Marco. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. I look forward to hopefully picking your brain again in the future, or at least seeing your webinar series and learning my skills in the semantic area could be improved. So, well, thanks for listening, everybody, and I hope you have a great day. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.